Hey, what's up everyone? Last night I managed to win the Uda event, as you can see by these horribly glared out Luffys from the sun. Anyways, I wanted to give my thoughts on sort of how the event went, what you're looking for in your first hand, things like that. So first of all, we've got Uda. For 1 Dawn underneath her, when attacking once per turn, you can look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a film card, you get to put it in your hand. This is an amazing effect, but you don't need to overuse it. Like, what I'm trying to say is you want to play to your curve still, especially if you're going first. If you're going first, you need to be playing 3, 5, 7 if you can. Like, you just need to be. Establishing the board is the single most important thing in this sort of format between these mirror matches, because nobody can really break each other's board unless they have black backlight, and backlight is only a 2 of. It's not very likely for you to see, probably not going to see both ever a single time. So your characters are pretty safe majority of the time. In a Sakazuki meta, that feels very strange, but it's very nice, and that's the main thing that you need to keep note of. You'll almost always certainly win if you have the board advantage, unless you create such a life deficit that even if they swing with every single one of their characters, then they won't kill you. That's basically the only way that you're going to win without board advantage. Now, I did have to win like that one game. I think I had a really weak board, and I just ended up swinging 12 twice with the Uda with this restand. So there's different paths to victory. This is going to be kind of like a scattered analysis, but you definitely want to go first, in my opinion. The guy I lost to, the champion, he said he wants to go second, but I do think it's just preference at the end of the day. If you go second, you can do stuff like Law into Zoro, or Jinbei into Brook into Usopp, something like that. But if you go first, you can play Usopp, Frankie, Luffy, and that is really, really strong if you have that combination. This Uda, I don't stick it out on the field early game. Playing a blocker super early like this is very bad. It loses you so much momentum. Instead of a 3-5, it's a 3-4. You're never going to swing with it, really, plus it's a blocker, so you wouldn't want to anyways. Don't play this early. Every single time I played someone who played this super early, I won, and I knew I won. Like, I knew that they just basically had no momentum, no board state for a second, because they do have a card on the board, but if they're not going to swing with it, it doesn't really matter anyway. Same thing with this Law. Don't get caught up in this whole Law Robin, Law Robin, Law Robin. If you have multiples of Robin in your hand, you should definitely do that, but if you only have 1 or 2, don't get super focused on this combination. It is almost a bait, in my opinion. The 3k Law, spending 2 Dawn to make him 5 and then you can shambles him out, is okay, but having Usopp is just so much better, or, you know, even Jinbei is better. Like, I don't know. I didn't play this Law as much as I thought I was going to. Most oftentimes than not, if I had 2 Dawn, I would play Jinbei instead. This Law is very good, but I found it lingering on my board more oftentimes than not, just kind of sitting there not attacking turn after turn after turn after turn, which isn't a bad thing, because it's always a swing late in the game. But yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Counter 1k out of every single 5 at life that you feel comfortable. Most of the games I won, I still had 3 or 4 lives left by the end of it. And that's just because I was countering out of 1k. Anything higher than that, I would basically take it. Especially, unless it was like towards a character I really want to keep on the field. Like if it was, they're swinging 9 at Frankie, I might dump 3 cards out of that. 2 if I'm lucky and have a chopper blocker, or a chopper 2k. But for the most part, I'm really only countering out 1k, because you don't have basically any 2k counters. Onigiri is the most obvious thing ever, if it's in your hand or not. Like, it's so painfully obvious that this card is in your hand when you leave 3 Dawn up. Like, they know exactly what you have. And if you play the Usopp out of your hand with it, then you have 1 less K counter in your hand, which can actually matter sometimes. But I didn't really use this effect too often. I think I left 3 Dawn up like maybe once. But it is really good if you don't have anything else. Like if your back's against the wall, this will probably certainly get you out of at least 1 attack. You could even rest your Luffy and save him with it if they want to swing into it, bait them with that or something like that. So, yeah, I don't want to rant too long because I can definitely get a little bit scatterbrained. So basically, too long didn't read version is establish your board state as fast as possible. Just play characters on the board for the first several turns. Don't be super compulsive about using this leader effect, especially in the early game. It's very good, but it can also lose you the game if you don't find what you need, or if you're just playing to a lower curve and not really establishing anything threatening. Brook. Okay, so the whole Luffy Brook thing. In my opinion, if you have both Brook and Zoro in your hand, you should play Luffy into Zoro, save Brook for a following turn, and play Brook into Usopp after they clear your board or something like that. That felt way, way stronger to me. Unless you have Luffy, Brook into Uta. But even then, Uta doesn't really do anything playing it on the same turn that you do Luffy. You basically want her to restand your Luffy, maybe your Frankie, mostly your Luffy. So I always played her the turn after I already had Luffy on the board, and then I would also establish a 6k body on the board. That just felt a little bit better to me than a 7, 5, and 4. So, I don't know. Take all of this with a grain of salt. A lot of it does boil down to luck at the end of the day. If they hit this Onigiri trigger on you, you're probably losing. If they draw multiples of this card and they can use them effectively, you're probably losing. If they start out with New Genesis, you're probably losing. Like, there's just a lot of things. There's a lot of luck that you can't help. If you don't see Luffy, you're probably losing. You want to play Luffy basically as fast as possible, because it is the 7k blocker against a non-7k blocker, if they don't have one, creates such a deficit that you will basically not be able to get out of the hole immediately. I did win one game without seeing a single Luffy, but I had to really improvise and use stuff like this and just keep swinging at their life. Another tip I would say is, if they have like a rested Frankie or something, don't go for it. Unless you really need to get that card off the board to have a chance of winning, just ignore it. Swing 6 at their life constantly. If you have 5 characters, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. They only have 4 2k counters in the whole deck. They're gonna have to start dumping cards like crazy. And then if you just have one of these late game, double 12s, they're not gonna be able to do anything. So those are my thoughts. It's a really fun event. It's way less monotonous than the usual OPO5 stuff, even though it's literally all mirror matches. So, yeah, I don't think it matters too much going first or second. Both have their advantage. You want to establish the board state more than anything and keep your momentum and big bodies to swing. Protect your big bodies with your 2Ks if you can. I don't really care about taking life a lot, because at the end of the game you're going to have, 2 Luffys on board and an Uda anyway, hopefully. So, those are my thoughts. I hope this helps somebody out there, and I hope you guys enjoy the event, and good luck if you're playing in one, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.